but still have not looked in the mirror themselves. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, pass the mic straight across.
So what's the difference between the sleep state and dreaming?
Okay, good question. A dream is a little different. So we'll talk about our dreams. Now, for many of you, your dreams are a mixture of a sleep state experience and other things. But if we talk about the two types of states differently, because you'll get a bit of an idea of what's going on. When you're dreaming, there is a series of events in your, let's say this area of your life is your awake area of your life, right? In your awake area of your life, there are a lot of emotions that you're denying. And you're living, many of us are living in our facade and denying specific emotions in our awake state that actually still exist within our sleep state. And they still exist within our soul, these emotions. Now, once you set an intention inside of your soul to begin dealing with some of those emotions, in your sleep state, you make a choice to become conscious in your awake state about some of those emotions. And the way you give yourself the message in your sleep state to your awake state that the emotion exists within you that you need to address or deal with is by having a dream. So a dream is a message usually from your own soul, but sometimes combining with the souls of others, in other words, sometimes with help from other people. The dream is a message to your own soul about what you're denying in your awake state, in an effort to attempt to address the issue emotionally. Does that make sense? Now, that is a very, very different thing to a sleep state experience. Can you see the difference? The sleep state experience, there is usually no desire to address particular emotions. And particularly when we're living in the first sphere a lot, there is very little desire yet to deal with our emotions. And as a result of that, the sleep state experience is an actual experience that we're engaging in the sleep state, sometimes which we remember, but very rarely. Most of the time, we don't remember it in our awake state at all. So our dreams, so here we are in our spirit body in the sleep state, and what we're doing in this sleep state is we're trying to give a message from ourselves to ourselves in our awake state to break through an emotional resistance that we have in our awake state. Something that we realise in our sleep state we would benefit from if we actually addressed in our awake state. Now, many of you have those kind of dreams, and those kind of dreams have all sorts of natures, some of which are violent, some of which are fear-based, some of which are angry-based, some of which are sexually based, and so forth. That's not the same as having the actual experience in the sleep state. The reality for most of us is the actual experiences we have in the sleep state, the majority of us do not remember very clearly at all. The reason why is because we have huge amounts of judgment about what we're doing in our sleep state. Does that make sense to everyone? Which is very, very different to the dream state. Tara, thanks.
Hi. So is it more important to really focus on the emotion that we're waking up with from a dream rather than the actual really weird pictures that we got in the dream?
It's always the emotion. Always focus on the emotion. Yep. Now, there will be two reasons for the emotion. We might have just had a dream which exposed the emotion to us, so focus on that. But there are other times we just wake up, there's no recollection of any dream, but we wake up in a mood, whatever that mood is. Like the mood might be fearful, the mood might be frustrated, the mood might be annoyed, the mood might be sexual, the mood... And those kind of moods are an indication of what's just gone on in the sleep state. Right? and we know